Orchard update. It is June, 22nd, I believe it is. It's a pretty hot day today here in June. I think we hit about 90. What you see before you is a very sick Jonathan apple tree. The tree has been scabbed pretty hard this year. Mostly what you see on this tree damage-wise is blight, fire blight, and the tree does have some fruit on it. However, not looking good for this tree. We've got some work to do here. That's probably another video. The fruit itself, here's a Golden Delicious apple tree. This tree was purchased at the same time as the Jonathan. It's obviously not a Jonathan. These are beautiful apples. It produced a few last year, just a beautiful shape and form. And it's got a good crop on it this year. I would wager to guess there is a bushel of apples on this Golden Delicious tree. Golden Delicious is pretty much an all-purpose apple. You can do a lot with it. I know we really like it here in the Midwest. Here's another Golden Delicious apple. This one has not fruited as heavily as the other. Still, there's probably close to a bushel on this tree. These apples have russeted a little bit, as Golden Delicious will tend to do. The king blooms on these trees really took, and those are the larger apples that you see. And anywhere there's a pair of fruits, like right here, you can see the king blossom is about twice the size of any other blossom. And these are just not, maybe this is the pollination issue or something, but they're not as large as the king blossom. No secrets there. See, this tree was hit hard with cedar apple rust. Didn't get the right sprays on at the right time. Plenty of cedar trees around here. Here's the Liberty apple. We had a few apples off of this tree last year, and it's got a good crop this year. A very good crop this year. So we're going to get to do some things with the Liberty apple. This tree has been blighted, shoot blighted just a little bit. Nothing too bad. You can already see these apples in the sunlight getting some color on them versus some of these over here on the other side of the tree. But this this Liberty apple is carrying a nice crop. You know, there's probably a little better than a bushel on this tree right now. I did go through and thin it, but this tree did a good job itself thinning out what it needed to. This fruit set wasn't good this year. Good blossom, but the fruit set was not good. The weather was bad. A lot of rain, and but it worked out pretty good. We got about as much fruit on this tree as it could really handle. But I did go through and thin some of it down. Liberty. Now then, Freedom. Freedom's had a lot of blight on it this year. Oddly enough, last year, which I thought was a horrible blight year, Freedom went through unscathed. This year, I've not seen a whole lot of blight on these other trees that were hit last year, and Freedom's had it. But there's a few apples on this tree. A few more than last year. I was hoping for a better crop than this. Didn't get it. There's a few up high on the tree. Freedom's a good apple. It's a better cooking apple, I think, than a fresh eating apple. It's the kind of apple you'd like to cover with caramel, I think. Reminds me of a good Granny Smith. Freedom. Not a whole lot of fruit on this tree. You can just about count the apples. But there are some up there. Jonafree, probably the last year this tree is going to be on my property, this particular tree. Anyway, I've got other Jonafree trees. But the ant's having some kind of a party right here. And a little bit of liquid and sap. I have no idea what that's about. It can't be good, whatever it is. Anyway, John Free, a little bit of blight, a few apples, and this dwarf tree is coming out. It's got the space of a semi-dwarf and it's a dwarf tree. I've had a lot of trouble with it, so it's coming out. Hopefully we'll get a few apples off of it. Now Mac Free has not been blight free. Last year it was. This year it's not. And it does have a crop on it. These apples have been beautiful right from the get-go. A really nice red striping on them. You can see this apple here. It's got some issues. I'm not sure if that's a cedar apple rust, which I don't see anywhere else on the tree, or if that could be a fire blight situation in the apple itself, which does occur. But the tree has fruit. We will get to eat some Mac-free apples this year, and give an update on what we got there. I know nothing about this apple other than what I read in magazines. Oh, I'm sorry, I read in catalogs that try to sell you the Mac-free apple. It's a pretty apple right there. But it's got some fruit on it. Large fruit right there. This tree was covered in blossoms back in early spring. Not very many of them set, but enough that we'll get a harvest. Now, of course, here's the vertical axis. We've been over that, and there's some trees that have been in this row for a couple of years down here on the end. One of them has fruit. There's butterfly weed. When I mow the orchard, if I see any nice wildflowers like butterfly weed, I tend to leave them because of that. Look at the butterflies on there right now. It's a nice wildflower. So I'll leave whatever butterfly weed I can. Got some coreopsis here and there out there that I leave. Okay, yeah, the only tree producing here on the vertical axis is this Haralson apple right here. And it's got some fruit on it. I'd say it's probably got, it's probably got 25 pounds of fruit. What will be 25 pounds of fruit. These Haralsons are really russeted. You can see green and russet right there. I pulled some off because they've already started cracking. And you can see this one right here is cracking. Haralson's bad about that. If it continues to be bad about that, it will be replaced in my orchard. Nobody said Haralson would grow in southern Indiana, so we'll see what happens with the remainder of these apples this season.